associate demo. My name is Somesh,
Okay.
and I'll be your trainer for this course. So I'll just brief you about myself. So, I have around more than 13 years of experience in IT, and I'm working as an enterprise
Mhm.
cloud architect in a Fortune 500 IT company. And I've been associated with 3RI for close to 2 years. Okay, and so I have trained more than 200 students at 3RI, and most of the candidates, either they switch their roles or they have successfully, are
Hmm.
successfully completed their certifications in AWS Solutions Architect Associate, or they are working, they are working as a AWS engineer in their respective firms, and some of the freshers which joined, so they have been placed into into good companies as well.
Okay.
Okay. And I hold three AWS certifications, as you can see. So, Cloud Practitioner, Solutions Architect Associate, and Security Specialty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on. So, before I move into the AWS thing, so I'll explain what is the pre-cloud era. How things happens when even though cloud was there, but maybe nobody was using it, or maybe very less organizations were using it, right? So, how the things happen, right? So if I have a software company, and if I, or not a software company, any XYZ company, and I want to host my website, who to run my business, I need a website. I need maybe a global presence, or any use case you can take, right? But you need a website, right? So what do? You need to purchase a servers. So those hardware, so big racks you need to purchase. Then you need to think about whether you have sufficient storage or not, right? And you think about the skills, whether you have it or not, right? So those things came into the picture when you don't have the cloud exist, maybe 15 or 20 years ago, right? So I took an example of explaining how the things happen. So for example, like I have a software company, and then in 2006 there are around 1000 users. So ठीक है, मैंने एक वेबसाइट बनाई है, and I want कि मेरा वेबसाइट में, let's take example of Flipkart.com. When Flipkart.com would have been launched, or when they are planning to launch, so उन्होंने क्या करा होगा, दे थॉट अबाउट सम कैपेसिटी as well, कि हाँ मुझे इतने सर्वर्स चाहिए, इतना लोड होगा, आई एम एंटिसिपेटिंग दिस many users to hit my website on day one, or maybe is saal, right? So they, some capacity planning happens, right? Everything was good. Website got launched, 1000 users were 1000 or 1200 users ने आपका site access करना चालू कर दिया. Everything was good, right? Then in 2017 you got more user base. So as the time progresses, your website got famous, more and more people got to know about your website. Then आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? Now you have to again think about adding up servers. If अगर आपके existing servers, they are not able to serve the traffic, right? So you need to again think about the capacity, think about what किस कैपेसिटी का, किस कॉन्फ़िगरेशन का मुझे सर्वर खरीदना है, where, and then you need to think about the spaces and all, right? So similarly in 2018 आपने forecast करा कि मेरा 5000 से अभी 20,000 users हो जाएंगे, right? Again you forecasted that, you add up some servers. आपने 2017 में 3 और सर्वर डाले थे, now 2018 में you add up 6 more servers. Then you already thought of ki, whether I have that much of space available to keep extra 5 or 10 servers, and then you wait for your servers to to come, right? You आप purchase order लिखते हो कि बॉस हाँ ठीक है, 1 लाख रुपए के मेरे 4 server आएंगे, and then I reached out to a company named XYZ, maybe Rackspace, right? So Rackspace is one of the biggest server provider, or IBM, anyone, you can go to anyone to purchase those servers. आपने servers order कर दिए, now you are just waiting for servers to come at your place, right? So आप 3 महीना 6 महीना, it depends on the capacity of servers or the type of servers you requested. I mean, it takes time, right? Servers are not the thing that you go to a hardware shop or computer shop and you purchase it, right? So आपको वेट करना पड़ेगा, एंड देन व्हेन इट कम्स एट योर प्लेस, देन आपको ये सोचना पड़ेगा कि यू नो ठीक है, मैंने सर्वर की जगह बना ली, ऑल माय कूलिंग इक्विपमेंट्स आर देयर, and then now you need to configure those servers. So you will ask your network guys कि boss अभी ये आ गया है, now you configure it, make it up and running, right? So that may again a time consuming activity, and you need skills in your organization. आपको चाहिए भाई मेरे पास networking का बंदा हो, मेरे पास ऐसा बंदा हो जो who knows inside about the cyber security. बहुत सारे अगर मेन फ्रेम है तो you need a mainframe specialist. So there are you know uh, diversified skill sets which you need when you are working out of servers, right? So everything was good. 2018 तक आपने सब estimated कर लिया, मैंने सब servers वगैरह लगा दिए. Now what happens, suddenly somehow by any region your forecast did not match the actuals. Okay, so आपने 20,000 यूजर्स के हिसाब से आपने अपने सर्वर ज़्यादा प्रोविजन करा था. नाउ एक्चुअल में क्या हुआ, ओनली 7,000 यूजर्स आपकी रिपोर्ट में आया कि सिर्फ 7,000 यूजर ही एक्सेस कर रहे हैं. दे आर नॉट मच लोड. सो क्या हो रहा है, सो रेस्ट ऑफ द सर्वर्स आर सिटिंग आइडल, दे आर नॉट सर्विंग एनी ट्रैफिक. या सो दे आर नॉट सर्विंग एनी ट्रैफिक. सो what happens, यानी you have a wastage of resource, you have wastage of money. So ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि बॉस in next 5 months or 6 months आपका वेबसाइट अगेन फेमस हो जाए, देन अगेन जो आपने 20,000 एस्टिमेट करा था उतना ट्रैफिक आ जाए, बट स्टिल राइट अगर नहीं सर्व कर रहा है, देन योर सर्वर्स आर सिटिंग आइडल. You have you again have a maintenance overhead. You cannot just plug in all the wires from the servers and put them idle कि जब जरूरत पड़ेगी तब मैं लगा लूंगा, ऐसा नहीं होता है, right? So those are the typical challenges. I try to give you some examples of few challenges which happens when you run your own data center. तो हम कहते हैं कि मेरा data center, right, wherein we are putting my servers and maintaining and everything, right? So these are typical challenges which companies face when they host their own data center. Okay, now let's move on to what is cloud. Okay, so cloud, what is cloud? So let's say that there is a third company, let's say AWS hai, Microsoft hai, or Google hai. So what they have done, they have acres of land, and there they have a big hardwares and devices, servers, equipments are there, they are maintaining it, it's their responsibility to maintain it. And but what they are doing, they are serving, or they are providing those resources to the users or to the big enterprises over the internet, right? So agar mujhe networking services chahiye, let's say I need a firewall service. Okay, so what I can do, I can ask AWS or Microsoft to I can go and purchase it, right? कि बॉस मुझे ये वाला फायरवॉल का सर्विस यूज करनी है इन माय ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. और इफ आई नीड अ सर्वर स्पेस कि बॉस मुझे दिस कैपेसिटी का, मुझे 5 GB 5 कोर एंड 50 GB का एक सर्वर चाहिए फॉर दिस मच ऑफ टाइम, आई कैन गो एंड परचेज इट फ्रॉम AWS, right? So that is what the cloud is, right? So anything which from networking or from storage, database, anything which you are accessing over the internet is being delivered to you is basically a cloud, right? So the cloud is a term referring to accessing computer, information technology, and software applications through a network connection, often by accessing data centers using WAN or internet connectivity. Okay? So in this case, if you have a public cloud provider like AWS, अगर आपने iCloud का ना, if you are using Apple phones or Apple devices, then you would have heard about iCloud. So these are the service providers, through which you are accessing the content over the internet, right? They are giving you storage devices, networking services over the internet. So that is basically a concept of cloud. Okay, so cloud computing is on-demand delivery of, as I told you, the computer power, database, storage, applications, or other IT resources via internet with pay-as-you-go. So what do you mean by pay-as-you-go? So pay-as-you-go is, मैंने जितना use करा है, I'm going to pay only for that. If let's say अभी उस पे क्या होगा कि you purchase a server, so that's yours, right? You have to maintain it, you have to do whatever you can do with it, right? But यहाँ पे नहीं है. So when you are moving to the cloud, you only say कि boss, we say कि हमें on demand हमें ज़रूरत है, and जितना मैं use करूँगा 1 घंटा, तो I'll pay you for 1 hour only. So that's what there are pricing models, these uh, cloud service providers have, right? Pay as you go, on demand pricing, right? So that's what it meant. Cloud computing gives you access to servers, storage, databases, and broad set of application services over the internet. Right. So that's what I meant about what is cloud. Now let's take a same example which I gave you in 5 minutes back when you were maintaining your own data center. Now things have changed. Now last year you planned to launch a website. You have a startup company, right? So you are working out of AWS. You have built your website and you are launching it on EC2. Okay. So you provision two servers with a forecast of two servers of some XYZ capacity. Okay, so what you need to do, you and provision two servers within 5 minutes. You can do that. Then what happens suddenly? You got famous in 5 or 6 hours. You see there is a surge of traffic on your website. So 1,000 की जगह मेरे 4,000 यूजर्स आ गए. Now what to do? अगर आप आपके सर्वर पहले होते, अगर आपने 1,000 का करा होता तो क्या होता? You just wait. Okay, I can't do anything, right? So now in cloud में क्या होता है? So AWS में you can use a service called auto scaling. तो मैंने अगर auto scaling लगा के रखा है, so what happens? I give some minimum and maximum capacity, desired capacity जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं. So automatically as soon as it detects that surge in the traffic, or AWS automatically adds up the server, okay, in your portfolio, right? So you don't have to see sit and watch कि boss अच्छा मेरा traffic हो रहा है, now man you go and manually add it. It's not like that, right? So it's automatically add those servers to you to serve the traffic, right? Similarly, अगर वो 4,000 की जगह 3,000 हो गए, ठीक है, सो मैंने 4,000 आ रहा है, ऑटोमेटिकली आफ्टर सम टाइम रात में या जब भी है तो पीपल आर लॉगिंग ऑफ फ्रॉम योर सिस्टम एंड इट्स your traffic slows down, shrinks, right? So thousands of 3,000 users हो गए. Now what happens? मुझे 4 सर्वर की जरूरत नहीं है, right? I don't need 3 servers. So automatically one server will be stopped. It will be terminated from your portfolio. You only are going to pay for 3. So यहाँ पे you are only going to pay 4 servers. Here you are going to pay only 3 servers, and that too you don't have to do anything manually. Everything is automated, right? So that is a benefit of one of the examples of benefit that you get of the cloud, that you get scalability. Okay, so what do you mean by scalability, right? So scale is there are two types of scaling if we talk about cloud, or specifically if we talk about AWS. So scalability, there are two types. First is horizontal scaling. So horizontal scaling are which you just saw in an this example when I was adding from 2 to 4, right? So that is a horizontal scaling. I'm adding up a server. So it may be a different capacity or a same capacity, but I am adding a server, right? दो की जगह तीन है, तीन की जगह फिर 4 हो गए, 6 हो गए. So that is a horizontally. You are scaling horizontally, right? Vertical scaling क्या होती है? When you are adding the capacity, increasing the capacity of a server. कि पहले मेरा 2 सर्वर था of XYZ कैपेसिटी, 5 GB रैम था, सॉरी 5 कोर था, 256 GB रैम था. फिर मुझे थोड़ा सा परफॉर्मेंस इशू लगा, देन इंस्टेड ऑफ एडिंग अ सर्वर व्हाट आई डिड, आई इंक्रीज द कैपेसिटी. ठीक है, मैंने 5 की जगह 10 GB का कर दिया एंड 1024 MB का मैंने GB का मैंने रैम ऐड कर दिया, राइट? सो माय परफॉर्मेंस गॉट इम्प्रूव. सो दैट इज अ वर्टिकल स्केलिंग, राइट? व्हेन आई एम एडिंग अप अ कैपेसिटी टू अ सर्वर, आई एम नॉट एडिंग एनी अदर सर्वर, उसी सर्वर का मैंने कैपेसिटी बढ़ा दिया. सो दैट इज अ वर्टिकल स्केलिंग, right? And then there is a term called elasticity, right? So elasticity is think about a rubber band. So rubber band में क्या होता है? You can stretch and when you release, so it again goes back to its natural shape, right? So similar thing happens here. So when you have built your architecture in a way that you have elasticity uh, in your architecture, so means मेरे server add भी हो रहे हैं, मेरे server remove भी हो रहे हैं. So it's a continuous process based on the traffic, right? That is the elastic nature of the cloud, right? So that is a scalability and that is a elasticity nature of the cloud. Okay, so let's move on. So few benefits out of of using cloud. First is agility. So when I say agility is like increasing the speed. So what do you mean by speed, right? So I know that if I need to launch a website, so I can just go and launch a web server, or maybe I need a database, Oracle database, or anything, right? Any service. Maybe I'm building a AI software, yeah, wherein I need some AI service, face recognition service, anything which I need. I can just log in into an AWS console and I can just provision it, right? So I don't need to worry about it. यार अभी कैसे करेंगे? How will I make? So वो सब अपने को सोचने की जरूरत नहीं है, right? So because resources are readily available. So the only thing which I need to focus is the idea. What different ideas can help building a good a software, an app, or a website, anything. You can experiment when you don't have to worry about the resources or technology, right? It is being provided to you as a service by different cloud providers, especially Amazon, right? Elasticity, as I explained to you, elasticity is like when you are growing up and scaling up, or when you are scaling down. So it gives you an it's the elastic nature of the architecture. Then you have a cost saving. So AWS में you have a pay as you go model, जैसे मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया, and on demand. भाई मुझे जितना चाहिए मैं उतना ही यूज करूंगा, and AWS कहता है जितना आप यूज कर रहे हो मुझे उतने का ही पैसा दो. If I'm using it for 30 minutes, I'm going to charge for 30 minutes. अगर मेरा एक सर्वर है जिसको मैंने सिर्फ 1 घंटा चलाया है, बट वो मैंने टर्मिनेट नहीं करा है, आई जस्ट केप्ट इट इन एन स्टॉप स्टेट, देन आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू चार्ज फॉर इट. ठीक है, मेरा सर्वर को तभी पैसा लगेगा जब वो रनिंग स्टेट में होगा, व्हेन इट इज सर्विंग अ ट्रैफिक, राइट? सो दैट इज अ पे एज यू गो मॉडल, right? And then there are some cost saving plans available. If you are working as a big enterprise and you आप AWS से बोल रहे हो कि हाँ मुझे ये सर्वर एटलीस्ट 3 साल के लिए लगेगा या 1 साल के लिए लगेगा, then AWS has a lot of savings plan options available. Then deploy globally in minutes. So AWS may there is a not feature. There are regions called geographical regions, and you have availability zones, and you have edge locations. Okay, so that's how AWS has distributed their infrastructure. So edge locations are distributed globally, or there are regions available. So अगर आप इंडिया में हो and you need a website, आपको यूएस में लॉन्च करनी है, मे बी सम रेगुलेशंस की वजह से, यू नीड अ server or database in US region, that you also can do while setting it in any location in the world. So that is a deploy globally in minutes. Then of course security. So security is a paramount importance for AWS. So AWS का जो खुद का infrastructure होता है, they have a very very strict security around it. And also the security, they say that security of the cloud is their responsibility, security in the cloud is the customer responsibility, which they call it as AWS shared responsibility model, जो अभी हम आगे देखने वाले हैं. But security is of paramount important, and there are bunch of services available, around 13 14 services, especially for securing your infrastructure, securing your workload, securing your applications, which you can use in AWS. Okay, let's move on. So as I already explained you, so AWS का full form है Amazon Web Services. So Amazon Web Services is a subsidiary, not subsidiary, it's a company of Amazon.com, right? So Jeff Bezos, who is the owner of Amazon.com, he owns this AWS, and more than 200 services are there across different categories. So these are the categories. So you have services on IoT, machine learning, blockchain, robotics, compute, security, any technology you think of, you will have a service in AWS. And they aggressively launches services every year. At least 10 to 14 services every year they launch, especially on AI, MLs, robotics, if you are interested in. Then a brief history of AWS. So how it got started in 2003, there were two developers. They built on an application, and so SQS, simple queue service, was an application which they built in, and then they launched that SQS in 2004. Then they launched AWS in 2006, and then they targeted around 180,000 developers of Silicon Valley for using those SQS service, and that's how they got famous. And then in 2010, the whole Amazon.com, which you in a day-to-day life, use it to purchase groceries or apparels or anything, right? So that runs on AWS infrastructure. Okay, and so AWS has a yearly conference wherein they launch these services. It's a mega event. They call it reInvent. So that happens every year in November and December, or December. They have a certifications. So as of now, they have 12 certifications available. तो हम लोग आगे देखेंगे कितने certifications हैं. And then a few commercials. उनका कितना revenue था in 2000 up to 2016 they had 13 billion. 2017 उनका increase okay they have 27 billion. So if I remember correctly, so their net evaluation of the whole Amazon.com is around more than a trillion. Okay, so $1 trillion उनका uh, evaluation है company का. Okay, and so why AWS? So if you see the Gartner chart, so Gartner is a company which does the survey and it releases the the rankings in this जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं magic quadrant. Okay, so from early 2015 and this is a 2019, AWS is still a number one cloud provider in a public cloud provider sector. ओके अभी जुलाई में भी आने वाला है सो मे बी बाय द एंड ऑफ दिस जुलाई Gartner again will release infrastructure as a service ranking and AWS will be the leader. So AWS as of now it's capturing around more than 60% of the market share. If we talk about the public cloud area, and then you have Microsoft, Google, and a few others. Okay, and so these are the certifications available in AWS till date. So recently they have launched data analytics and database specialty. So उनका start होता है foundational से. Foundational आपका बहुत ही basic होता है. So foundation is for a totally non-IT people like HR है या CEOs हैं या जो business leaders हैं जिनको सिर्फ AWS के बारे में पता होना चाहिए because they need to go to customers और मे बी सम एचआरस जिनको क्लाउड के बारे में थोड़ा सा टेक्नोलॉजी जानना है उनके लिए इट्स वेरी 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 बेसिक. You don't get any technical knowledge from a practitioner other than you get to know about what services are available, what is the pricing model, what is shared responsibility model and all. Okay, then second layer का certification है associate. So AWS recommends you have 1 year of experience but it's not necessary even if you have अगर आपने कोई अच्छा course करा है और if you do some good hands on you can get any of these certificate associate level certifications easily. And solution architect associate is the first step towards your should be the first step towards your certification journey because यहाँ पे आपको end to end समझने को मिलता है कि AWS में how do you start because architecturally you need to understand things कि कैसे database server मुझे place करने हैं, public है या private है, वो सब आपको solution architect associate से ही मिलेगा. SysOps और developer they are specific to developer oriented रहते हैं and they target only few services, wherein solution architect associate में you get to learn lot of services but as an architect you need to know those services, right? So that's why it coverage बहुत है architect के course में. And that is always recommended even if you go to any training center, you Google it, everybody recommends to start with solution architect associate. Okay, and then third layer है professional की. So they have two at this level, solution architect associate and DevOps engineer professional. And AWS recommends 2 years of experience and होना भी चाहिए because ये काफी tough exam होते हैं ये. Okay, so lengthy questions आते हैं unless and until you have a hands-on it's very difficult to clear those professional level certifications and same goes with specialties. So specialty and professional में बहुत ही कम difference है. Technically they are almost at the same level. Exam format में थोड़ा सा difference है but time limit and क्वेश्चंस में ऑलमोस्ट एक ही पैटर्न के आते हैं. So you need to have a good hands-on working knowledge on AWS for these specialty and professional certs. Okay, we move on to Solutions Architect Associate, the exam structure. So there will be some domains जिसमें questions आपके divided रहेंगे. First domain is design resilient architecture, design performing architectures, design secure applications and architecture, and last is design cost optimized architecture. So you will get questions from these four domains, and these are the weightages. So 30% from here, 28% from second domain, 24% from design secure applications, and 18% around cost optimization. So if I may बोलूं कि अगर 100 क्वेश्चन आएंगे, then 30, 28, 24, 18, how that will be divided. Okay, so एंड एग्जाम आपका 2 घंटा 10 मिनट मीन्स 130 मिनट्स का होता है, एंड कॉस्ट इज अराउंड 150 USD. सो अगर आप उसको कन्वर्ट करोगे विद द करंट रेट, सो इट्स अराउंड 10,000 bucks. ओके, एग्जाम के क्वेश्चंस कैसे मिलेंगे आपको? सो यू विल हैव ईदर वन करेक्ट रिस्पॉन्स, जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं मल्टीपल चॉइस, वन करेक्ट रिस्पॉन्स एंड 3 इनकरेक्ट रिस्पॉन्स, and then you have multiple responses, you have 2 correct responses out of 5. So that's how you get questions. And 1000 की marking होती है. Out of 1000 you need to secure at least 720 to pass the solution architect associate exam. So AWS ने अभी 2020 में in February they have updated their course content, so few services they have added, and एक यहाँ पे domain होता था operational excellence का, वो इन्होंने रिमूव करा है यहाँ पर. Okay, so that's how your exam will be structured. So there will be around 75 questions in this. Okay, so we move on to high level, the global infrastructure of AWS. So AWS का जो पूरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है वो डिवाइडेड है बेसिकली 3 रीजन, नॉट आई वुड नॉट से रीजन, बट in 3 areas. First, जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं region. So region is the geographic location. Okay, so when I say geographic location, so it's something like Mumbai is one region. If you see here, so Mumbai is one region, then China, then Tokyo, then Hong Kong, Osaka, then similarly you have North Virginia, you have Ireland, you have Sydney. So those are the regions. So so जहाँ पे you have data centers. So if I take an example of Mumbai region, so मुंबई के अंदर AWS के 3 अवेलेबिलिटी जोन्स हैं. तो वो अवेलेबिलिटी जोन्स में AWS का एक्चुअल में डेटा सेंटर है. दे हैव अ हार्डवेयर सर्वर्स, एक्चुअली जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं AWS के टर्म में अवेलेबिलिटी जोन्स. ओके, सो AZ1, AZ भी कहते हैं शॉर्ट फॉर्म में. तो AZ1, AZ2, AZ3. सो इन एक रीजन के अंदर 3 AZ हैं. Similarly, there are regions wherein you have 6 availability zones or 4 availability zone, depends on कि वो region कौन सा है. And North Virginia is the region जहाँ पे AWS की सर्विसेज सबसे पहले लॉन्च होती हैं, एंड वहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा आपके AZs भी हैं, availability zones भी हैं. There are 6 availability zones in North Virginia region. Okay, so what is AZ? AZ आपका डेटा सेंटर है. सो द एक्चुअल डेटा सेंटर, एंड it is those data centers are physically distinct from each other, so maybe at least 100 miles apart, एंड उनका खुद का जो भी सेंटर होगा, जितने भी एकर्स का उनका डेटा सेंटर होगा, दे हैव देयर ओन कूलिंग इक्विपमेंट्स, दे हैव देयर ओन नेटवर्किंग कनेक्टिविटी, उनका खुद का पावर जनरेटर होता है, उनका खुद का सिक्योरिटी होता है. सो एवरीथिंग इज इंडिपेंडेंट फॉर दैट डेटा सेंटर, स्पेसिफिक टू दैट डेटा सेंटर. और वो डेटा सेंटर आपस में एक हाई स्पीड फाइबर ऑप्टिक केबल से कनेक्टेड रहते हैं. तो जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं अमेजॉन बैकबोन नेटवर्क. Okay, so that is a region and availability zone. Then there is a third area called edge allocation. So globally, as of now, around 90 edge allocations are there. So edge allocations क्या आती है आपकी, जहाँ पे AWS के distributed servers, जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं distributed servers, so वो कैशिंग के लिए यूज होता है बेसिकली. अगर आपको कोई ऐसी वेबसाइट लॉन्च करनी है विच यू नीड, आपके जो कस्टमर्स हैं दोज आर जियोग्राफिकली डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड पूरे वर्ल्ड से अगर आपको एक्सेस करना है वो, देन इन दैट केस वी यूज कंटेंट डिलीवरी नेटवर्क, CDN जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं। AWS में एक सर्विस है कॉल्ड क्लाउड फ्रंट, ठीक है। सो CDN इज अ सर्विस विच यूजेस edge locations to distribute your content across the globe, and they use an edge location for caching the content. So वो हम लोग डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे जब हम लोग क्लाउड फ्रंट देखेंगे। सो हाउ दिस एज लोकेशंस वर्क, राइट। सो अभी के लिए यू नीड टू जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड कि रीजन्स क्या होते हैं एंड उसमें अवेलेबिलिटी जोन्स क्या होते हैं, ठीक है। सो रीजन इज जस्ट अ रीजन ऑफ एज ए सेड ज्योग्राफिकल रीजन, मुंबई, सिडनी, हांगकांग, चाइना, टोक्यो, एंड देन दे हैव अ डेटा सेंटर जिसको हम लोग एजी कहते हैं, मल्टीपल एजीज, okay। So that is the infrastructure, and then you have AWS shared responsibility model। So AWS कहता है कि जो भी मेरा डेटा सेंटर है और जो जो भी उस पर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर रन हो रहा है, जो भी उसके ऊपर मैंने ओएस डाले हुए हैं, जो भी उसके नेटवर्किंग सर्विसेज हैं, जो वो मेरा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है। अगर मैं आपको ओरेकल एज ए सर्विस RDS के अंदर दे रहा हूँ, सो वो मेरा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है टू मेक श्योर दैट द सिक्योरिटी ऑफ दैट सर्वर, सिक्योरिटी ऑफ दैट इनिशियल जो उसने ओरेकल इंस्टॉल करा है अपने सर्वर पे, जो भी उसने नेटवर्किंग सर्विसेज दे रहा है, वो AWS का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, विच मीन्स सिक्योरिटी of the cloud, right? The orange part which you see, so that is the security of the cloud is what AWS's responsibility, and the blue thing is customer responsibility। So एक बार आपको database मिल गया and you have a latest patched database, let's say Oracle version 11c आपको मिल गया, now what you need to do with it, आपको डेटा डालना है उसके ऊपर, and you need your applications to get connected to those Oracle database। So now that becomes your responsibility, okay। So that's why AWS says कि this is security in the cloud is customers responsibility। So एक बार मैंने database या server आपको दे दिया, उसके ऊपर आप किसको access देते हो वो database का, whether you open to world or you give it to specific security people or to DBA, और उसमें आप क्या डेटा डाल रहे हो, AWS is not concerned about it, and anything happens, अगर डेटा थेफ्ट होता है या आपका आपने पैच नहीं करा है सर्वर को टाइमली मैनर में, सो दैट इज नॉट पैचिंग, में पैचिंग भी नहीं बोलूंगा। इफ आई से मैंने कोई रोल नहीं दिया या एक्सेस मैंने गलती से किसी और को दे दिया, उसकी वजह से मेरा डेटा लॉस हो जाता है या डेटा थेफ्ट हो जाता है, देन AWS इज नॉट रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर इट, okay। So that is AWS says is the security of the cloud is my responsibility, and security in the cloud is your responsibility, is customer responsibility। हाँ, RDS as a service down ना हो and that as a service is secure is AWS responsibility, right। So AWS ने क्या करा होगा, किसी एक रीजन में वो सर्विस होस्ट कर रहा होगा, उसके ऊपर उसने कोई सर्वर रैक डाला होगा, मे बी ओरेकल रैक AWS मैनेज कर रहा है, उसके ऊपर उसने डेटाबेस ओरेकल इंस्टॉल करके दिया है आपको सॉफ्टवेयर, राइट। सो दैट इज AWS responsibility, right। So that is a managed service, and then few services goes दिस, ये ऑरेंज जो आपका कलर है, कुछ सर्विसेज ऐसी हैं जो आपकी ये सेकेंड लेयर तक जाती है, प्लेटफॉर्म एप्लीकेशन IAM, so वहां तक भी जाता है। so जिसको AWS कहता है कि AWS managed service है। So you don't have to worry about the patching and security of that service, you only just worry about your data, you only just upload your data and you start using it। So there are services as well जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं AWS fully managed service, okay। So that is a AWS shared responsibility model। So एक एग्जांपल मैंने यहाँ पे दिया है। So एक से फॉर एग्जांपल मैं EC2 का एग्जांपल लेता हूँ। तो EC2 एक सर्विस है, कंप्यूट सर्विस AWS में, सॉरी, जैसे आपका सर्वर होता है लिनक्स सर्वर, विंडोज सर्वर, उसी तरह यू कैन यूज EC2 सर्विस टू प्रोविजन दो सर्वर्स। सो ये ऑरेंज पार्ट AWS का है। तो AWS आपको क्या करता है कि जो आपके AWS की जो हार्डवेयर है उस पर वर्चुअलाइजेशन लेयर होती है, जिसको AWS कहता है AWS हाइपरवाइजर। वहीं से सारा वर्चुअली लॉजिकल सेपरेशन होता है ऑफ डिफरेंट VMs, ठीक है। इसको हम लोग कहते हैं वर्चुअल मशीन। वहां से लेट्स से यू गॉट वन एरिया फ्रॉम दैट हाइपरवाइजर फॉर EC2, योर EC2, राइट। तो देन उस EC2 पे में भी मैंने लिनक्स 8 लिया है, या उबुंटू का लिया है, कुछ भी लिया है, या विंडोज सर्वर लिया है मैंने, राइट। सो इसको हम लोग कहते हैं गेस्ट ओएस। ठीक है, सो गेस्ट ओएस इंस्टॉल्ड है। सो नाउ एक बार वो लिनक्स 8 या विंडोज सर्वर मेरे पास आ गया, नाउ उसको उसको उसके ऊपर मैं कौन से एप्लीकेशन इंस्टॉल करता हूँ, मैं कौन सा सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल करता हूँ, वेदर आई इंस्टॉल टॉमकैट, वेदर आई इंस्टॉल जेबॉस, या कोई भी इंस्टॉल करता हूँ, उसके ऊपर मैं क्या कॉन्फ़िगरेशन करता हूँ, किस एप्लीकेशन में चलाता हूँ, किसको एक्सेस देता हूँ, AWS इज नॉट कंसर्न अबाउट। AWS is only responsible up to this hypervisor layer, कि उसका सिक्योरिटी का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इस बिलो दिस ऑरेंज लाइन है, बिलो अबव दिस ऑरेंज लाइन इट्स द कस्टमर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। ओके, सो दैट इज व्हाट इज मेंट बाय शेयर्ड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मॉडल। Okay, and this is a sample architecture which I use for my for my training sessions. So end of the training, the whole course, you will be able to provision these many components with this architecture. Okay, so there is a public subnet, you will launch an EC2 in public subnet, you are actually going to create this VPC, you are actually going to create these subnets, ये सर्वर्स बनाओगे आप जहाँ पे आप टॉमकैट इंस्टॉल या कोई भी वेब सर्वर ऐप सर्वर इंस्टॉल करेंगे हम लोग। देन हम लोग प्राइवेट में EC2 में, प्राइवेट जब मैं EC2 पढ़ाता हूँ, देन आई आस्क माय कैंडिडेट्स टू लॉन्च दो सर्वर्स, आई गिव देम डेमो at the end RDS, then we make connections, and then NAT gateways रहते हैं, then how do you securely access from your private resources to internet, right? And then IAM क्या होता है, they create users for themselves, roles for themselves, S3 bucket के अंदर जितने features है, that I give them demo during the class, and then they uh, खुद से भी बना, खुद से करते हैं एक बार मेरे दिखाने के बाद, देन लैम्डाज हैं EC2। आई मीन सो व्हाट आई मीन टू से कि आप क्लास के एंड एंड में, सो यू विल बी एबल टू वर्क ऑन दीज मेनी सर्विसेज, एंड यू विल बी एबल टू एक्चुअली you know uh, launch these AWS resources. Okay, so we move on to the course content. So I divided the whole course, solution architect course, in 13 12 chapters, not 13, sorry. First, we talk about the fundamentals. So there are different, computing models available. There are different deployment models we talk about. Then terminologies. Then chapter 2 talks about, आप खुद का AWS अकाउंट बनाते हो, वहाँ पे मैं बिलिंग अलर्ट सेट करवाता हूँ, सो दैट कि कोई अननेसेसरी चार्ज ना करे, आपके अकाउंट अकाउंट पे ऐसे नेसेसरी चार्ज ना हो। देन आई एम यूजर बनाते हो आप, एडमिन यूजर, देन आई गिव देम ओवरव्यू ऑफ SSH, बिकॉज हम लिनक्स सर्वर्स पे काम करेंगे, विंडोज सर्वर्स पे काम करेंगे, तो विंडोज तो आसान होता है, बट लिनक्स के लिए पीपल डू नीड SSH, तो वो मैं आपको बताता हूँ। देन AWS का CLI इंस्टॉल करते हैं कैंडिडेट्स। Then chapter 3 talks about identity and access management, IAM and S3. So we talk about IAM को role बनाते हैं, service बनाते हैं। Then we talk about various services available in S3, features क्या रहते हैं, they actually do the hands-on with replication, they do transfer acceleration, security encryption, bucket policies, everything they do. Then chapter 4 is VPC. So VPC, virtual private cloud, is logical separation for your resources. Then we talk about NAT, NACLs, जो भी ज़रूरत रहता है फॉर आर्किटेक्चर एग्जाम के लिए और इन डे टू डे आपके वर्क के लिए, सो वो सर्विसेज सारी कवर है इसमें। Chapter 5 talks about EC2. EC2 is your servers, Elastic Compute Cloud. So we talk about various types of EC2s, volumes, EBS volumes क्या होते हैं, EFS क्या होता है, how you can attach file system to an EC2, सर्वर पे लॉगिन कैसे करते हैं, एक सर्वर से दूसरे सर्वर को कैसे एक्सेस करते हैं. So these are all conceptual as well as hands-on sessions. Chapter 6 talks about database on AWS. So RDS is a service in AWS which provides this database services. So we do the hands-on on that as well. I conceptually understand the topic and then we do the hands-on, because I feel that the more you do hands-on, the better you understand. Sorry. Then we have some services which added in latest exam format 2020. So I've added that as well: DynamoDB and DynamoDB Accelerator, Amazon Aurora Serverless. Chapter 7 talks about Route 53. It's a DNS service from AWS. So we talk about various routing policies available. Then chapter 8 talks about how you can make your architecture highly available. Load balancers and auto scaling. So इसका आप कैसे integrate करोगे अपने architecture में to achieve a high availability and resilience in your architecture. Then chapter 9 talks about various services. So इसका थोड़ा सा formatting गलत हो गया है. So ये hyphen के बाद वाली थोड़ी अलग है services. So around 20 services, 15 tell how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so around 18 services जो हम जो मैंने cover करी है, which I feel is very important from your day-to-day activity, which you need as an architect. एंड कुछ सर्विसेज AWS ने रिसेंटली ऐड करी हैं इन 2020 एग्जाम, so which I also added it the bracket में जो आप देखते हैं 2020. So we go through it. I give them demos and then they practice it either at home अगर आपको है, otherwise we can do it in classes as well. Chapter 10 talks about serverless. So we talk about कि serverless क्या होता है and how you can build a serverless architecture in AWS, what all services are available that we that I explained. And then microservices on AWS. So nowadays microservices are very common. If we talk about architecture, moving from monolithic architecture to modern architecture. So microservices. So we talk about microservices. I explain what are the microservices, and then I give them, a working demo on the ECS, how you can use ECS services to build a microservices. So ECS is not only ECS. There are a few more services which you can use for your building a microservice architecture. Chapter 12 talks about the DevOps. So DevOps में we see कि how you can build a cloud native CI/CD pipeline or hybrid pipeline कैसे बनती है, that we see. And then chapter 13 I give some tips and tricks, and also in the last 1 day or 2 day I sit with the candidates and I have a set of 25 to 30 questions which I solve them along with them, right? So that candidates get to know कि एग्जाम में कैसे आता है, टैकल कैसे करना है, क्या कैची वर्ड्स होते हैं क्वेश्चंस में जिसकी वजह से आपको पता लगे कि इसका करेक्ट आंसर क्या है. सो दैट वी डिस्कस इन दिस last session. Right, so that's all from my side, guys. And if you have any questions, do let me know, or you can reach out to to the